episode 19 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, March 16th, 2018, and this is a podcast all about my life as a knitter, a crocheter, and a hand dyer of yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. You can find me on Ravelry at Noble Character, and you can find a podcast group for this podcast at Noble Character Crafts Podcast on Ravelry. You can also reach me through my email, which is noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. So I'm so glad to be with you again today. I am coming to you from a very rainy eastern Nebraska. It is almost spring, and I'm so glad for some rain. It's so refreshing, even though it's actually freezing on the electric lines, and my little birdhouse has tiny little icicles on it, but at least it's not snowing, although it may turn into snow soon, I'm not sure. I do have a make-along going on right now, which is called the I Think I Can Make-Along, and that is for any project that you would like to try your hand at that you've never tried before, any craft or skill that is a bit intimidating to you. So this is for any craft: crochet, knitting, spinning, weaving, anything that you have never tried before that is intimidating. I personally have accomplished a brioche project for the first time, and I plan to start a project that will be steeped very soon. So those are my 2 skills that I wanted to conquer during this make-along. It is going until April 30th, so there's plenty of time for you to still join in. There's a chatter thread as well as a finished object thread in the Ravelry group, so you can be sure to join us. We would love to have you. If you would like to join in the chatter, that would be wonderful to encourage one another on as we're trying new skills. So I'd love to have you if you would like to join. I do not have any finished objects today, but I've been working away on some works in progress, so I'll start off with that. My first work in progress is in my beautiful bag that was made by Mary Ann of Rock Islander. So beautiful. Love the little bunny pull. So cute. In here I have my Lilly cardigan. It's hardly fitting anymore. It's like stuffed in there because I'm getting pretty far on it. This is a beautiful pattern by Amy Self-Lindland of Amy's Little Kingdom podcast. And last time I podcasted, I showed you that I had completed the body of the sweater. And can you see what's over here? I have a sleeve. I'm so excited. So I was able to finish the first sleeve this week. So it wasn't so bad. I thought maybe, you hear nightmares of people getting stuck on Sleeve Island, and I am just really enjoying working on the sleeves actually. They're going by pretty quickly. I have stitch markers marking every row that I have decreased on. And let's see, I made it extra long for me. I'm tall. I'm 5'10", and it's very typical that a lot of my garments are not long enough for me in the arms or in the legs, but I especially get bothered by sleeves being too short. So I wanted to make sure that this was especially long. So you can see that it goes down onto my hand a little bit, which I just love so much. It's going to be so cozy and comfy, I think. The cuff is 1x1 twisted ribbing, and I just did a regular bind off. I'm using Knit Picks palette in the Aurora Heather colorway. It is 100% Peruvian Highland wool fingering weight. And I would love to have this done for St. Patrick's Day, which is tomorrow. Of course, it's not going to be done. I do have some work done on the second sleeve though. So here you can see where This is the waist yarn where I had left off before I worked the rest of the body, and that's where I picked up the stitches. And I've worked quite a bit there on the second sleeve, so it's coming along. And I am still just loving this project. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm super excited to have it done, but still I'm not you know, dreading working on this every day. I love working on this. It's still my favorite project that I have. So that's pretty good for working on it for over, well, almost 2.5 months now. But the cable is all done. I'm all done with the cabling, and it's so pretty. And I'm really hopeful that I will be done with this soon. Although I think I'll be sad. I was thinking this week, and I kind of compare knitting a project to reading a good book, because when I start a new book, I'm always a little bit, I don't know, reluctant to start a new book, because it takes a lot of effort when you're first starting to get into a book, to learn all the characters and learn the storyline. And same with knitting. When I'm starting a new project, there's always a little bit of anxiety, because, you know, it's a new pattern. You got to figure out the new stitches. You got to read. Maybe it's a designer that you've never knit a pattern from before, kind of like a new author that you've never read before. So you're not really sure, you know, you have to kind of figure out how they write things out and how does it make sense. But then once you get into a good knitting project or a good book, it's just so pleasurable and relaxing and mindless, and it's just so enjoyable. And I really compare that to this project, because right now, you know, as I'm knitting these sleeves, I'm just counting the rows in between the decreases, but other than that, it's just knitting in the round. And even when I was doing the cables, you know, I got so used to the pattern that it wasn't stressful at all. It was just enjoyable. And so I just compared that to a book, because, you know, as you're in a book, once you really get into it and you love it, it's just so enjoyable. So I don't know, I was just comparing it to reading a good book this week. And anyway, and then when you get done reading a good book, I personally am always so sad when I finish a book, because I'm like, oh no, I don't want it to end. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen with this project. When I bind it off, I'm going to be so happy to have the finished project, but I'm going to be sad not to have it to work on anymore. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of a neat comparison that I had thought of this week. Anyway, I am just so thrilled with this project, and it is bringing me so much joy. I am using size 6 needles, US size 6, which are 4mm, and I did use size 4 needles for the ribbing, which are, I never remember. I'll put it down below. Oh, 3.5. They're 3.5mm. All right, I think that's all I have for this project. See if I can stuff it back in here. Not really. It's kind of hard to get it back in there. It won't need to live in there very much longer. Okay, my second work in progress is in my Allison Barnes collection project bag, which actually needs to be washed because it's well loved. And in here is the Doodler shawl by Stephen West. I work on this only on Sundays. I'm doing this along with Christy Glass, who is hosting a Doodler cowl that she is only working on Sundays as well. And on Sunday, while I was at church, I got a horrible migraine, like horrible. Like on the way home from church, I just closed my eyes and my eyes, I guess I was crying, but I mean, I wasn't like bawling. My eyes were just watering because I was in so much pain. And I couldn't knit even. That's the real sign of being sick. I came home and just went to sleep, and thankfully when I woke up I felt so much better. But anyway, that being said, I didn't have a ton of time to work on this project on Sunday because I wasn't feeling well for a big chunk of the day. Okay, so I started with this lighter section here with these short rows, and I am using my own hand-dyed yarn on my radiant base, which is 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. The lightest color is called Embrace, And then the burnt orange color is called enriched. So you work these wedges until they get bigger and bigger all the way over here. And then I worked these cables all along the length. So last time I podcasted, I showed you that I had just finished the cabled section. And then I had to pick up 300 stitches, which I was so nervous about. I hate picking up stitches in general, and I've never picked up 300 stitches for a project before. It seemed so daunting. But somebody had suggested just putting stitch markers on. There's every week in Christy Glass's Ravelry group, they put up a thread for each week of working the doodler shawl. And one week somebody had said that they were ready to pick up the stitches and were nervous about that as well. And somebody had suggested just putting in stitch markers, to keep track. And so that's what I did. I just put in a stitch marker every 20 stitches. And usually when I pick up stitches for projects in the past, I have to go back. Like I'll try to pick up stitches and it'll be too few or too many and I have to go back and adjust. I did it on the first time, 300 stitches. I could not believe it because somebody had even said, well, just pick up stitches and then go on your next row of knitting. Just if you have too many, knit two together a few times, or if you have too few, make some stitches. I had 300 exactly. I was shocked. It was so great. So anyway, I have now added this new color, which is my Honor colorway. And I am loving working with this color. It's one of my favorite colors. But I didn't get a ton done. As I said, I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't get a ton of time to work on it. And then now I have 300 stitches on the needles. Ooh, that's so close to dropping stitches. So it takes a long time to do a row now. And it's all bunched up on this needle, so you can't really see it in its full glory there. But I think I only worked 5 or 6 rows. But hopefully I will get a little more time to work on that this weekend. There's not much to see there, but at least you can kind of get an idea of that. Well, this is going to be the bottom actually. So I think it will sit like this. Yeah. It'll be kind of like this. So you can at least get an idea of that purple color on there. Anyway, I'm really enjoying working on this and I'm really excited to have this completed as well. But it's an enjoyable knit. It's so fun. This is my first time doing a Stephen West pattern and I've really enjoyed it. I've always been a little hesitant to make his patterns because they're a little out there, but it's just been so enjoyable. It really has. And I think that, if you choose colors that are in your palette, then they don't have to be out there necessarily. Oh, I am using size 4 needles for this shawl, which are 3.5 millimeter. Okay, all right, my next work in progress is in my Tuft Woolens project bag. And this is a baby knit that I am making for a lady at church who has a great niece that was born at the beginning of the year. And she asked me to make her a summer dress because she wanted me to make her something knitted, but she didn't, since it's getting into spring, she didn't want to make something that she wouldn't be able to wear for very long. So I am making the lace dress body by Knitting for Olive. The lady's name is something else. I will put it down below because it's not written on here, the actual designer's name. And I had to do 1, 2, 3, 4 swatches for this and kept going down in needle size. She recommends using a 3 millimeter needle for the majority of the project, which is a 2.5, US 2.5. And when I got that, my gauge was too loose. So I went down to a 2. still too loose. Went down to a 1.5, still too loose. I am now using a size 1, and I'm still too loose, but I mean, come on. I don't want to go down anymore. I'm supposed to have 28 stitches for 10 centimeters, and I have 26 and a half. So anyway, I'm on US 1s, which are 2.25. Wow, my needle's getting bent. You see that? It's a little bit bent. Anyway, and then actually the beginning of this, this garter stitch, these few rows of garter stitch are made using, in the original pattern, she goes down 1/2 millimeter size to make that. So so I'm using US 1s, which are 2.25. So I went down to 1.75 millimeter for the beginning garter stitches there, which is a 00. I've never used a 00 before for any project, so I don't know. I'm just like, if I just am not going down any smaller than that. I just hope that this is right. I'm really nervous about this project because after I had already purchased the project and got all my yarn and everything, then I went on to look at, foolishly, I went on at that point to look at the other projects in the, you know, people that have worked on this before. And so many people talk about how this pattern isn't written very clearly, and she recommends that you cut the yarn in several places, and then people have said, you know, you don't really need to cut the yarn, so you can just keep it on the, I don't know, keep the stitches live. Anyway, so I'm trying to read all these other project pages to get notes from them, and I'm just really nervous that this isn't gonna work out. My gauge isn't exactly right yet, and the pattern seems to be a bit confusing. I'm not confused so far, but I've only just begun. So this is the back piece. So this will be the bottom part that covers up the diaper on the back. And I am using Knit Picks Lindy Chain in the Sage Brush colorway. It is a fingering weight, 70% linen, 30% cotton. And I've never worked with this yarn before. It is a really interesting construction. It's actually looks like a chain, hence the name. And it's very splitty because it's actually got several threads that are looped together. And so I've had it split a few times. It is difficult for me to get a really good consistent stitch with this. Some of my stitches get a little bit loose, and it's a little bit rough. It's not too bad, but I'm just hopeful that it won't be too rough for a baby. I'm hoping that with blocking it will really soften it up. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm just really hesitant about a lot of things with this project, so I don't know. But I've gotten started, so I'm actually done with this piece for right now, and then I'm going to make the front piece next, and then I will join, I believe I'll join in the round then and start working in the round from then up. And then there's buttons that will close up the bottom here. I don't know. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. I'm just nervous about it working. I'm afraid I'm gonna make the whole thing and then it'll be hard to know if it's the right size even when I'm done, you know, because I don't have a 9-month-old. I'm making the 9-month size, by the way. I don't have a baby that I can try this on. I'm not gonna know if it works or not until it is gifted. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I can find a baby at church that I can try it on. I don't know. I'm just a little, I don't know. I'm not feeling very confident about this project. But we'll see. Hopefully it'll be okay. Okay, my last work in progress that I have touched this week, because I do have obviously other works in progress, but I haven't touched them this week. I am doing a beautiful test knit for Fox and Folk, and it is for this beautiful pattern called the Willow Lace Cowl. Isn't that beautiful? I love it so much. It is made using worsted weight, so it's working up really quickly. I am using my own hand-dyed yarn on my caring base, which is 100% non-superwash merino wool in the worsted weight, and this is on my life-giving colorway. And I have done, let's see, I've done 4 repeats of the pattern. Oh, it's so pretty. I just love it so much. Oh, whoops. There. Oh, I love it. It's such a fun knit. You do have to pay attention to the pattern, of course, for the different row counts and stuff, but it's so fun to see the ivy leaves grow right before your eyes. I have a few stitch markers here that were gifts to me. This beautiful wooden one, it has a hashtag cozy on it, is from Ashley of the Blackberry Ridge. And on this side, I have a cute little fox because this pattern is by Fox and Folk, so I thought that was fitting. This cute little fox stitch marker is from Mary Ann of Rock Islander. And I'm just really loving this. So the pattern just calls for you to repeat the pattern a total of 6 times, so I only have to do the pattern 2 more times and then join it in the round and then block it, and hopefully this I-cord edging should block out nicely, because right now it's kind of rolling in on itself a bit, but it should block out beautifully. I decided to go with the life-giving colorway because, well, not only because it looks so nice with the leaves, of course, but also because it will match my cloche hat that I made a few months ago. So I thought it'd be nice to have a set that matched. Anyway, so this should work up pretty quickly, just a few more repeats, and I should be done with that pretty soon. So it's a beautiful pattern. I'm not sure when she's hoping to release the pattern, but I'll try to remember to let you all know when she does. So those are all of the whips I've worked on this week. I did receive another square for the collaboration afghan. So if you haven't heard, I am collaborating with 48 other indie dyers to make an afghan. I have asked each of them to knit or crochet a 7-inch square using one of their colorways, mail it to me, and then I will be stitching them all together. And then I will be sending the afghan to Lisa of Indie Untangled to be on display at the Indie Untangled Trunk Show in October at Rhinebeck. And it will be raffled off there. Well, there'll be an opportunity for you to win it at that event. So I received another beautiful square. This was made by Carrie of Yakagani Yarns. And this is in her dogwood colorway. It is on her yak sock base, which is 100% superwash merino wool, fingering weight. And she made this using Tunisian crochet. It's so beautiful. I love it. So this is the second square I have received. It's so exciting to get a new square, and I will continue to show you all the squares as I receive them. So it'll be exciting to continue to see these come in, and then I'll be sure to show you the process as I start putting them together as well. Thank you so much, Carrie. It's such a beautiful square. I really appreciate you participating. So guess what I still have? I still have the last prize for the cable cowl. It does not want to be claimed. So I have decided to switch things up. Instead of drawing a new prize winner again, I have decided to open it up to anybody that participated in the cable cowl. If you were able to enter a finished object in the finished object thread in my Ravelry group, then you are eligible to win this prize by contacting me. The prize is a skein of 100% alpaca wool from Rolling Wood Alpaca Farm. This is a DK weight. It is in the natural brown color. In this little bag is a cable needle necklace from Leslie Wind. Well, I'm not going to take it out of the bag, but you can see it. This is a cable needle, and it is on this black necklace. And also these beautiful, adorable stitch markers from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights. So the first person to contact me through Ravelry and let me know that you would like to have this prize will win it. The only thing I ask is that you please check the show notes for this episode, which are in the Ravelry group. I forgot to mention that. But you can get show notes for this episode and previous episodes in the Ravelry group. And if you would just check episode 19 show notes, and I will, as soon as I am contacted by the first person, I will edit the thread of the show notes to let you all know that this prize has been claimed. So if you could just check that thread first before you email or message me on Ravelry, I would really appreciate that. And if you were able to enter a finished object in the cable cowl thread, finished object thread, then you are eligible to contact me to win this prize. So the first person that contacts me will receive this gift. All right. Okay, lastly, I just have a set of 3 skeins from my Etsy shop to show you. Every week I try to show a set of 3 skeins that would look nice in a shawl. So here is my set for this week. And I really like this combo. I just was going through the colors that I had, and I hadn't put these together before, but I thought they looked nice together. So this is one of my newer colorways. It's called Refreshes. Just a nice deep teal. The speckled one is called Discover. And it's actually also in this, oh, I forgot to mention I'm wearing my Starting Point shawl, which is by Joji Locatelli. And I use this same Discover colorway in this shawl as well. So it's a natural base, and it is speckled with burnt orange and navy blue and teal. And then the light blue is called Cold Water. So it's just this nice gray blue. And I thought those looked nice together. So that's my shawl kit for this week. All of my yarns are available. All of the colorways, I have most of my colorways are repeatable, and I have them available on all 8 of my bases. I do now have a 9th base, but I have not yet updated my Etsy shop to include it. It is an MCN base, so 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And I will be updating that slowly but surely. It takes me a while to get all of my listings updated with a new base, but I will try to do that this week. So if you are interested in my NCN base, you can certainly check out my shop probably by the end of the week. Next week, I will hopefully have that all updated. That base will be a little bit more expensive than my other bases. All of my other bases are $25 per skein, no matter which base, but the cashmere base is going to have to be a little bit higher in price because, of course, it costs more to buy the base yarn. So I will have to adjust the prices for that base a little bit. So we have had a great week. I got a surprise visit from my parents this week, which was so wonderful. They stayed for a couple of days, and my mom helped me with a bunch of sewing projects that I've been putting off because I really don't enjoy sewing very much, and she sews all the time. So I had a little pile of clothes that needed mending and different projects like that have mainly boys' clothes that have holes in the sleeves or the legs. So she was able to mend a bunch of things for me, and it was so nice to have them both here. My stepdad helped to, oh, it's hailing. Not very much, but I saw a few pellets bouncing down. Anyway, my stepdad helped my husband tear down an old shed that was in our yard that was falling down already. So they tore it down because it was kind of a hazard. So thankfully they were able to get that all torn down, which was so wonderful. My littlest boy, who's 4, has had a little bit of sickness, but just a cold. But we're doing pretty well other than that. I have sliced my finger a couple of times this week. 2 different times, sliced 2 different fingers. And does anybody else, when you get a cut on your hand, the first thing I think of is this going to affect my ability to knit? And it hasn't, thankfully. Both places I was still able to knit without a problem, thankfully. So anyway, other than that, yeah, we're just so excited for spring to come. Slowly but surely it's creeping in. So we did have daylight savings this last weekend, which I think I mentioned in the fall how much I hate daylight savings changing back and forth. I would love to just stay on this time. Now we're an hour ahead of where we should be, and so it stays lighter in the evening longer, which I love. I would just wish that we could stay on this time. It is so hard with small children to flip back and forth. You know, they're not tired now at bedtime because it's an hour earlier, and then they're sleeping in the morning as well as me. I'm sleeping in the morning too, a little bit longer than I normally would. So it's just hard. I just don't like switching back and forth. I wish that I could vote to not have it anymore, or just to stay on one time or the other. I would prefer to stay on this time. Anyway, I shouldn't complain, but I just hate it so much. Other than that, we've been doing well. I hope you all have been doing well as well. Thank you again so much for joining me. I hope that you all have a wonderful week. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to. I would really appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.